Right? And we are live. Welcome to It's How You'll Be Remembered. I am Julie Jones, your host and the Chief Encouragement Officer here at Today's Professionals. And look who is back. It's Brandon Jones, back by popular demand. You were here a few weeks ago. We were talking about culture, and people loved your stories. And they said, "Can you bring him back? We want to hear more from him." So
Awesome.
thank you so much for coming back, Brandon.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk.
Oh my gosh, this is so great. Here at Today's Professionals, our goal is to elevate your influence so that you can inspire others and have a greater impact on your community. And man, do you know how to do that? I call you the culture whisperer. Like, you can walk in and identify a culture just by walking. So let me just say this too. We have spotty internet today because here in the Dallas area, we've had weather this. We woke up to tornado sirens. I had no power for the first hour and a half of my day. I've only had power back for the last hour.
Crazy.
It's
My
been.
Seattle friends that think you know rain, you know nothing about rain until you've been to Texas. Let me tell you.
We know nothing, but you know what we got? You know what we got? We got tornadoes.
No,
That's
I'm
what we
saying
have
it's
here.
worse
We
here.
have hail, thunder, lightning, wind.
Yes.
Oh, you're
Seattle,
saying it's worse here. Okay, I thought
correct.
you were saying
Seattle
our friends
doesn't
in
know
Seattle are like, you
anything
you
about
don't know,
rain.
right?
Oh, I've never seen anything like it. It is crazy out
Yeah,
there.
the storms here in Texas, they say everything is bigger in Texas. Well, this year has been insane. It's been insane. I grew up here and I've never seen a year like this before.
Yeah, it woke me up.
So, roofing businesses, you are hopping these days with all the winds
Yes.
and the rain and the hail that we've had this year.
Yeah.
So it is crazy, crazy. But so we may be going in and out today. We are going to do the best we can because we're live, and that's just the way it is when you're live.
That's right.
So we are live, by the way, on Facebook, on Today's Professionals Facebook page. We're live on YouTube and on LinkedIn. Welcome to everyone who's joining us live. If you're catching this on the replay, be sure and chime in anyway. We want to see your comments. And if you're here live, please let us know that you are here. Brandon, the culture whisperer. I mean, our title today is Strong Company Culture. Do you have it? How do you know? How do you, when you walk into a business and you're trying to help them grow, how do you know they have a culture, a strong culture?
Yeah, well, I'll say this to start. You have culture no matter what. It may be good and it may be bad. It may be positive. It may be negative. It may be winning. It may be losing. You have culture and you must identify it right away if you want to change it and figure out where you are. There are a few really key signs that I think will help you indicate what type of culture you have. And I'll speak from experience. When our culture was poor, we had people calling in sick on Mondays and Fridays, typically, pretty normally. If you have a lot of call outs and you have people calling in sick, or they have a doctor's appointment they forgot about, or they probably just don't want to come to work.
Yeah.
And it's easy to become upset about stuff like that, but ask yourself why they're doing it, not get so wrapped up in the fact that they are. And if you are experiencing that, you probably have people that you probably have a poor culture. Number two is are your people volunteering? Do they come to you and want to take on things? If you mention something, does somebody say, I'll handle that? Or are you feeling like you're always delegating tasks and handing things
Yeah.
out?
Are people volunteering, or are you having to voluntold them?
Yes, correct. I remember when our company was really strong, our service department got really strong first. We were kind of the area that kind of led the charge. And I had a brand new technician out on a job one night that needed a part for a water heater. And it was 9:30 on a Friday evening. And she texted the entire group and said, "Does anyone have this part on their van where I can come get it?" And then a couple of minutes later, she said, "Never mind, got it." And so I asked her, I said, "Where did you get the part?" And she goes, "Adam is bringing it to me." Adam lived an hour away from where this call was. This man got in his truck at 9:30 at night on a Friday, left his family to drive and give a coworker a part that she needed to finish a repair. And the crazy part is Saturday morning when I looked, he didn't even clock in. I had to force pay him because he wasn't even going to clock in to go help his person out. And that's really strong culture. Weak
Wow.
culture in that situation would be no one responding to the text thread when somebody reaches out for help, or you having a big issue and not having anybody step up and say, "I can take that," or "I can do that." And I don't know if I'm still live, but Julie is spinning. So I'm going to keep on talking as if I am still live. Maybe she will come back. And then lastly, it's are you having to hear about problems and fix them, or do you hear about problems after they've already been fixed? A really strong culture, people are going to see a problem, fix a problem, and they're going to take care of it before you ever know about it. You're back. I just kept on talking, Julie. I don't know what happened, but I just kept on talking. Um, and or do people come to you constantly all day long with problems, needing you to
Yeah,
fix them? And
I think we lost. I think we lost just.
I think we're still rolling, Julie. I don't know. Yeah, I can hear you.
You can't hear me.
Yes,
Okay, so you can't hear me.
I can hear you.
Let me.
Yes.
You, okay, good. I lost. I think we just went out. Like, cut out. I lost you when you were talking. Drive an hour back. I don't know what happened, but if you could just go back to that for me.
Yeah.
Drove back and took part on at 9:30 on Friday night.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. That speaks
Yeah.
a lot for Adam and his character and the culture.
Yeah. And he didn't even clock in, right? I had to clock him in. He wasn't even trying to get paid for it, which is really cool.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. That's
yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that shows
Um,
that the culture was bigger than him. Like he was contributing to something bigger than him,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So the next one, I think you said, okay, there's a big delay. The next one is, do you have to fix the issues?
Yeah. Do if you have a really strong culture, you're going to hear about an issue after it's already been solved. We adapt a motto called "See a problem, fix a problem," and we really empower people to make decisions and fix problems. And people actually love that. If you're getting called a lot when there's a problem, then people don't feel trusted to provide solutions and take care of things. They are afraid that they will be in trouble, or they'll get yelled at, or get the taken off of a project or something because they made a decision. I have a really good friend who has a company, and I went out and I spent a week with him. And the very first day I got in his truck, we were driving to lunch. Lunch was about a half hour away, and between lunch and back, I think his phone rang about 20 times with people calling to ask questions on problems. Now, he has a pretty good culture. They're very tight knit. He's got a great team. They work really hard. They're very close. His culture's good, but this one area of his culture is not good. He didn't have a culture of accountability and problem solving. He had a good culture. He had a fun culture. He had a culture where people like each other. People come to work, but he didn't have a culture of accountability. And it caused him a lot of problems as the owner. He used to tell me, I never have time to do anything. And I said, it's because you answer your phone 60 times a day. Because every time there's a problem in every single facet of the company, somebody calls him. And then on the off chance somebody called their supervisor to ask the question on the problem, the supervisor would call him and ask him what they should do. So not even was the leadership team able to take care of problems and fix issues. And so this is the scariest one of all to me. It's the scariest one of all, because if if we're business owners, let's be completely honest. We got into business so someday we wouldn't have to do all this, right? That we would have a sustainable, profitable business that would allow us to exit at some point, or vacation more, or, and maybe work a little less, or eventually sell the company or whatever. We didn't get into business so that we could say, hey, I want to be a business owner so I can fix every problem that comes up in the company all day, every day. No one gets into business for that. And so this is the most dangerous aspect of your culture, because if you have this, you will never be able to even take a weekend with your family, or a dinner. I remember a situation. I was sitting one night with my wife at her birthday dinner, and my phone kept buzzing on the dinner table. And she said, why don't you answer that on your way to put it in the car? So
get rid of that. This
it was
is my birthday.
correct. It was really bad. And that's something that we had to go about fixing, was a system of accountability. So I encourage you all to use this culture of accountability building statement. And it's very simple. The next time somebody calls you with a problem, listen to the problem and say, what do you think we should do? And then they're going to give you a solution. And no matter what they say, you need to say, that sounds great. Go for it. The same technician, Adam, pulled me aside one time and he goes, I used to really hate it when you said that to me. He goes, but eventually I realized I was empowered to just help people out and I didn't need to call you anymore. And guess what? People make far fewer mistakes than you think they will by turning some of this stuff over. You hired them for a reason. And if you hired them and they can't do it, you made a bad hire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so good. But I think empowering your people, where people feel like they can operate autonomously and they're trusted and empowered to do what they need to do, and they're not micromanaged, or they don't feel like they're walking on eggshells. When they're calling you for everything, walking on eggshells, and nobody likes that.
Correct. Yeah, and it's really not fun to fix problems all day. It's really not fun to have your phone ring every time there's an issue. Yeah.
Right.
Are there things that you have to be involved in? Absolutely there are. Are there problems and issues that come up that need the owner, general manager touch? You bet. But it's not 20 times a day. I can guarantee you that. So create that culture of accountability, empower people. And if your people can't do it, train them. And then if they still can't do that, you may have the wrong person, right? Sometimes building the culture you want might look like saying goodbye to some key players that don't want to work in the culture you're creating, or simply cannot. In our trade, there are very corporate feeling companies and there are very family owned and operated feeling companies, and people have a different preference. Like somebody that likes corporate structure and environment will never do good at my company because it's not how we are. Right. And somebody that would do really good at our company might not do great in a corporate environment. And that's okay. Neither one of them is correct or wrong, but it's what our culture is. So that's what we're creating. And some people just might not fit in. Now, I'm not
Yes.
advocating going
Yes.
out and setting a torch to your roster, right? I'm not saying go out and start cutting people. I'm saying create your culture, define your culture, create your culture, and then find the people that will thrive in that, and you will have something amazing.
Oh, yeah. Yes. 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 I'm seeing we have a comment here. So because we're having such issue with internet and streaming, I'm seeing here um, Tracy Muller is here. Welcome, Tracy. We're so glad that you are here. She says recently started working at a landscaping company, family-owned business. They volunteer in the community and have weekly interactive meetings. That's great. And Tracy, do you like that? Does that fit your personality, your style? Do you feel like this is a good fit for you? Let us know there if you are still there. Mondays and Fridays, and so this is Tuesday after a holiday, so you've got half your staff out. You realize that you're always you can't go to dinner, and that no one volunteers. You have to volunteer everybody. Um, what do you do to fix it? What's the first step?
Um, I think as a leader, you have to be the person out front, on the front lines, embodying what you want done. I don't think you can dictate
Yeah,
or mandate from your office. I did a speech on stage at an event about a year and a half ago, and um, I was talking about culture and identifying the problem in the company with culture. And I on stage, I had a mirror underneath a blanket, and I pulled the blanket off, and I said, "This is the problem." And it was a mirror, and you have to look in the mirror and realize that you are the problem. Everything that happens in your company
yeah,
is a result of your actions. You are creating a lot of mini yous. It's like raising children, right? You are, if how you behave is how they will behave. And
right.
it is absolutely 100% on you. So you have to embody it in your leaders.
Yes,
Your leaders have to
yes,
embody it in their people. But if you really want to fix it, no one is going to go fix it for you. Like, I would have a really hard time if you hired me and said, Brandon, we want you to come into our company and just fix the culture. I would have a really, really hard time doing that because I can't fix the owner of the company. And the only way to fix the company is to fix the owner and let the owner embody and impart in his people what he or she wants that to be, not
yes,
somebody coming in
yes.
from the outside and saying, "Oh, we have a culture problem, let's fix it." Right? I'm not teaching CPR here. This is a way of living and a way of life. And if I came in and taught it and then you didn't do it, then you wasted a lot of money by having me come in, because it's going to go right back to what it was um, the day before I got there. That's why
Right.
this is the hardest thing for me to
Well,
teach, truthfully.
well, and I think when you come in, yeah, because what you have to teach people is that you are the problem, and you're really good at pointing that out. You can say, hey, here's your mirror. This is your problem right here. But the harder part is that mirror, and you have to say, I have the ability to change this.
Correct.
I have the ability.
Yep.
And
You
so,
can.
what does that look like? And that's more difficult.
It's far more difficult. Correct. I the two real key steps are identification. What is your culture? I was at an event one time and a guy came up. I apologize if I told this story last time. I don't think I did. But a guy came up and said, "Can I have lunch with you? I want to talk to you about something." And I said, "Sure." And so we sat down and he said, "My feelings were really hurt. I threw a big company Christmas party this year and it was really nice. And I catered food in a nice spot and I had presents for everybody." And he said, "And like only 40% of the people in my company showed up." And I was really hurt. And he was a fairly large size company. He wasn't huge, but he wasn't small. And I felt bad because I saw the look on his face when I said it, but then I also realized how bad he needed to hear it. And I looked at him just bluntly and I said, "It's probably because your culture sucks." And like it really hit him hard. And I hated that I said it, but I was glad that I said it. And luckily, this guy really wanted to change because he said, "Tell me more." And I said, "Well, if you throw a big party like that and your culture is awful, people will just wish that you had divvied up the money for the party onto their paycheck rather than paid it out to a caterer and a bunch of prizes for something that they don't want to go to." And they don't want to go there because if they don't want to come to a party, you think they want to come to work in the morning? Like if you're telling me I get to go to a party with my significant
Yeah.
other, dress up a little bit, have some nice food, get some drinks bought, have prizes, and people love on me, and I don't go, that's a huge statement about how I feel Monday morning when I have to put my work pants on and come to work. I really don't want to do that. The only reason I do that is because you pay me. And if you have a bunch of people that are coming in just because you're paying them, that's a big deal. And so I talked to him a while and I said, "What are, some of the
Right.
things you're doing?" And he goes, "Well, I've tried everything." And he had tried everything but asking his people, right? He was not communicating with his team at all. So if you if you do things in the name of culture, it's probably not culture. Like a party isn't culture, a prize isn't culture. It's the authentic action, it's the authentic care that you have for people that's really going to change your culture. I People ask me so many times, they'll say, "What should we do for this? What should we do for this? I'm having a contest. What should the prize be?" You're asking the wrong person. Ask your people. We used to have an employee of the month award, and we'd spend all this time trying to come up with the perfect gift for the employee of the month. And one time we bought this guy trapeze lessons for him and his wife because they're like daredevil adventurers and they love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Would you be surprised to know that that gift certificate went unused? He never used it. We were so caught up on we want to be more authentic and real than just a gift card. So we asked the team, we did a poll. What would you like to be recognized with if you won an award? Guess what the number one answer was? A gift card, right? So we were doing it right before. We just never talked to anybody about it. People wanted the gift card. The
Right.
other big thing is like the gift of time. Give somebody a day off and see what it does for you. You give somebody 8 hours of PTO, they're usually pretty darn happy about that. That means they get paid to go do something other than
Yes.
have to
I
come to work,
love that.
right? Yeah. So really, when you're talking about building culture and what do I do and how do I help my
Right.
people,
Yes.
get them involved. We're on
Hmm.
delay there. I don't know which one of us was
Hmm.
talking, but get your people involved in the building of your culture. Ask questions. Um, Poll your people. If you really want to know where you are, send out an anonymous survey. Go on Survey Monkey. Send out an anonymous survey. I'll say this: if you're going to ignore the survey results or defend yourself when the answers come back, don't do it. If you're going to send out a survey and people respond and you come back with, "Well, to be fair, we did this," or "in our defense we tried this," or "we did this for you guys but you respond," if that's going to be your attitude toward it, don't do it. But if you really want to learn and you really want to change and you really want to adapt to your workforce, go throw out an anonymous survey, 4 questions or less, about things in the company. What are we doing great? If I gave you the keys to the company tomorrow, what are the first 3 things you would change? How do you feel about the leadership staff and the ownership group, et cetera, the company? And then the last box should be an open forum for them to write in whatever they want. But don't do 15 questions, true or false. People won't take the time to do that. And it feels very obligatory and it feels very caged, right? So just give them an open forum to be able to discuss,
Hmm.
what are we doing great? If I gave you the keys to the company, what are the 3 things you would change right away? Um, what was the third one I said? I lost myself. Everybody can rewind, and then an open forum to be able to speak
The
about.
open-ended one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because I'm thinking in my head, give them an opportunity to write their own thing and make sure they know it's anonymous.
correct. Correct. It must be anonymous. And I I highly encourage
Yeah.
also, if you're the owner, don't be the one to compile and go over the results first. Let somebody else compile that and give you the data back. Because what'll happen is you'll go in and you'll start reading survey questions as they roll in, and over the course of a couple of days, and you get triggered back and forth for a few days with your emotions based on responses as they're coming in. Let somebody else moderate those results and then print them off and hand them to you at once. That is the best way to do it,
That's a great idea.
because
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a great
it's
idea.
just too much. But
Yeah.
again, I can't stress this enough. If you're The worst thing in the world you can do is ask someone their opinion on something and then ignore the response. So if you're not prepared, and listen, if somebody says, well, you should buy us all a Corvette, of course they're being ridiculous. I'm not telling you to go buy everybody a Corvette. I'm not even telling you to do everything that comes back on that. But you can knock out the top two or three things that are a big problem in your company right now, and have some thick skin, because it probably tied to you in some way, shape, or form. I know it was to me. I used to be terrible. I used to be the guy that walked around and yelled all the time, and I was no fun to work for. In fact, this is a really embarrassing story. I've coached high school girls volleyball for about 30 years. And my wife came to a tournament one time, and at the end of the day, I got home and she said, I'm never coming to watch you coach again. And I said, why? And she goes, see for yourself. She videoed me on the sidelines. And what I saw was absolutely humiliating. I was humiliated to the point that at the end of the season, I resigned, and I spent about a year trying to get in contact with every player that I had ever coached to apologize, because I was so embarrassed. And but once I saw it, I knew I knew that's what I was doing. But it took me seeing it, and I'm still embarrassed to tell that story. But I carried that into my work life as well, and you just can't. Nobody wants to work for that person. Nobody wants to be yelled at. Nobody wants to be humiliated. Nobody wants to be talked down to. Nobody performs better when you do those things. They actually perform worse. And then you justify yourself, go, oh, I'm so right about that person. Well, no, you beat them to that position, right? Be a good guy. Put your cape on and go to work smiling, helping people out, being positive, encouraging people, and see what you get at the end of the day. See what you get.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. Be the good guy. I love that.
Yeah, be the good guy.
Mhm. I think a couple other things, a couple other points, and this was one that we were talking about before we went on today, and that is if you say you're going to do something, do it. Just like if you're going to give the survey and ask for feedback, don't ignore it. Validate them and validate yourself, because if you say one thing and do another, that is the very definition of manipulation, and that blows trust.
Yep. Yep. I I used to my when I first started in the trades, I was a salesperson. I had no experience, didn't know what I was doing. And I worked in the worst culture I've ever worked in my professional career, ever in my life. And the owner, well, the owner's son told it, he ran the company. He told us salespeople in a meeting, he said, every job that you close on site, I'm going to give you $100 bonus this week. So if you close it in front of the customer on site, you get an extra $100, and I'm going to pay you in cash. So at the end of the week, I went in and turned in my 8 closes on site for my $800. And do you know what he said to me? He said, those funds have been reallocated. How do you think I felt? Because we were a young, struggling family at the time. I had already called my wife and told her I earned us an
What?
extra $800 that week, and that I'd be bringing it home in cash on Friday. You know, it was one of the most
Betraying.
demoralizing moments. Sorry, we delayed there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how
How
it
long
went.
did you
Yeah.
stay after that happened?
I would say
Uh,
that I was probably there another month or 2 after that. I started looking immediately. I went home and started looking for a new job.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sticking around after that. It was very, very
Yeah.
demoralizing. Um, and
Of course
so
you did.
luckily for me, his parents were the owners of the company and
Yeah.
they found out about it and I got my money, but I still left.
Gosh.
So if you're going to say something that you're going to do something, you better do it no matter what it is. If it's I'm bringing in lunch on Friday, you better
Uh-oh.
bring in lunch on
Moment.
Friday.
Maybe he'll come back. Um,
I'm still here. I don't know if you're still
we are
here.
having such bad weather here that everything shot. Power outages, winds blowing, there's hail, there's thunder, there's lightning. So with that, I think, and so of course with that, our Wi-Fi and internet is out. So I think with that, you get the idea. You have to be authentic. You have to realize that you're the problem. Be authentic to fix it. Be humble. That's one thing Brandon said when he called all of the girls in his team and said, look, I'm the problem. I'm sorry. And he's back. He's back. I was just kind of recapping. We lost you
Okay.
for a moment. Um, so I was just kind of recapping, you are the problem. You have to
Yeah.
be authentic to fix this. And you have to say what you're going to do. And then I think one thing too, because if you realize that there's a broken culture and you realize that you're the problem and you've been humble and you said we're going to fix it. I think the last thing that we talked about with pillars of how to fix this down is to roll up your sleeves and um, and get in there and help.
Go do it. Yeah, that's one of the best culture builders that you can have. On Saturday we had a really busy day. Our schedule was jam packed, and
Yeah,
my
show
business
that you're
partner
not
jumped in
too
the truck.
good.
Yeah, my business partner jumped in a truck and went and ran calls and helped the guys out to get them back on track so they wouldn't be out until late at night. That's what you do. Myself and my other business partner, we were on the phones. We were calling customers. We were rescheduling
Yeah,
jobs. It's just what you do when you need to do it. And then, it was so busy. We sent out my business partner sent out a quick little text and he just told the guys, he said, "Hey, I want you to all buy lunch today on your company cards." How happy they were to spend $12. Like they felt so loved. It's the little things sometimes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think too, you and I've talked about this before. The parking spot in the front, the best parking spot should not be the owner's or GM's parking spot. It's the owner, the GM can park somewhere else, but we need to leave that spot for customer clients and your team members, maybe an employee of the month or whatever, give them that spot.
That is the most cringeworthy thing that I think I see is the sign that says GM parking or owner parking. That is, if I'll say this, if you have a company that has a hierarchical structure like a org chart, you probably don't have a great people culture. You may. Don't I'm not saying everybody. I prefer to have a roster that reads right
Yeah.
to
I
left.
mean, yeah.
You know, we call ours a roster, not an org chart.
Yeah. That's different. Because I always look at org charts as the path of communication and the growth path, the growth chart,
Yep.
like where can you go? And then we can expand it out. But it's really more about communication than just
Yeah.
like parking spots.
You
Um,
must have an org
but
chart,
yeah,
no doubt about it.
Brandon,
You have to.
as always, this has been great. I apologize for, oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, for real. Yeah, you have to. But I apologize for the weather. I mean, our everyone who's watching, please give us some grace here because we cannot help Mother Nature. But I'm so glad that you were here today. It is always so good to see you
It's
and
great to
to
see you,
hear
Julie.
your stories. I love talking culture. I love talking empowering people. I love talking developing people. So thank you so much for being with us.
My
I do
pleasure.
have one question before we go, and I know we're going a little bit long, but um, the name of this show is "It's How You'll Be Remembered." Um, how will you be remembered?
Wow. Well, you're gonna hit me in the feels today. Okay. I'll say this through I'll use this relate again, but through my years of coaching volleyball, I coached for 30 years. I coached some very successful teams that competed at state championship level and won academic state trophies and things like that. And you'll never find me in a picture, in a team picture. I didn't ever do that because I always wanted it to be about the girls. And honestly, like I don't care too much about how I'm remembered for what I did or what I accomplished or my company or anything like that. I want to be remembered by the people that I worked with. Um, I want people to say I enjoyed working with him. He helped me. He was a good guy. He cared about me. He had my best interest at heart. More so than, he ran a company with X amount of revenue at X gross
Yeah.
profit. That stuff's nice and everything, but it doesn't mean as much to me as the human side. So if people stood up at my funeral and talked about that I was someone that they enjoyed working with and that I helped them, that is how I would want to be remembered.
Hmm. Yeah.
Did you lose me again?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think you will be, because I think you are the best at reading people and communicating with people. And I think you definitely will be remembered that way.
Thank you.
So, Brandon, thank you again for being here today.
Of course.
And I